What up, Buzz? You tapped in? Okay, Goose, you tapped in too? All right, Chicago, y'all tapped in? All right, boys, let's crack 'em. Feel like Mike in the fourth with the ball in my hands and I'm taking a shot. I'm the king in the madhouse on Madison, whether I make it or not. Now the crowd going crazy, they watching the play and I'm watching the clock. Got my shot in the air and the buzzer go off and I'm watching it drop. This team did things, MJ shot City 6 rings. D-Rose too big, too fast, too strong, history. And we good on that, put Jilla on the track and we good on wax. 3, 2, 1, everybody say Bulls on tap, Bulls on tap. Our city pretty and gritty, Benny the bull in the crowd getting hyper and litty. Me, I'm so drippy, it's slippery, nothing offends me. Banners on banners, we winners. We got the stats in the news, go and subscribe. Hang out with Buzzy and Goose, tapping with us, we the truth. Jilla just murdered the booth.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bulls on Tap. I'm your boy Buzz. I'm joined by my dude Goose, aka Bull Scripted. We're here after Christmas beatdown because that's what it was. This was an after Christmas beatdown. The Bulls lose to the Houston Rockets, 133-118. Before we break this down, be sure to go on TapSportsNet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at Bulls on Tap and on TapSportsNet. Following Goose at Bulls Scripted, me at Buzz on Tap. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us, 5-star rating and review because that's cool and tough. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, please go over to the YouTube on TapSportsNet on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. Anytime we go live, you'll be notified. Goose, this was fucking trash, absolute trash game from start to finish. Bulls came out lazy. I don't care what anybody says. They came out lazy to begin this game, then tried to start, taking themselves seriously and taking the opponent seriously, and were met by a three-headed monster I don't think that they were expecting. And yes, they did come back at the end of the half to take the lead. I thought adjustments would be made, and which I kind of thought they were to start that second half, but they weren't enough. Houston made more and did it better, came out and beat the shit out of them. How you feeling? I know you were out tonight. How are you feeling here?
I'm not feeling good at all. As I told you before the show, I'm obviously very disappointed in the performance, but I'm more so disappointed we don't get to see you chug pickle juice for the opportunity of 5 wins in a row. I fully expected the Bulls to handle their shit tonight and carry us into Milwaukee with the opportunity of giving all of our beloved fans the chance to see you chug some pickle juice. And unfortunately, that dream died tonight, all but in the first quarter. Went down 10-0. Next thing you know, it's like 25-10, and you're still going, all right, get it to game of runs, but when are we going to go on a run? Because this is not going as planned. And I guess apparently the Bulls team just approached the Rockets like fans expected to be a cakewalk. And you got the complete opposite. Bulls tried to turn it on in the fourth there, explaining to all my coworkers here, oh, look, there's DeMar with the ball again. Yep, no set. We just give it to him and see what happens in the fourth. That's our game plan. And not a doing. Defensively, we did not have an answer for anything they did all night. Like you said, took the lead, third quarter, feeling kind of good. All right, team's going to wake up, going to make those halftime adjustments, and we'll handle business from here on out. But it almost got worse.
I felt it did get worse because, you want to talk about exploiting. That switch they kept getting Vooch on, whether it was Green or whether it was Porter Jr., the Bulls had nothing for it. Nothing for it at all. Just literally nothing.
No, that whole fourth, you see Vooch squaring up, looking like he's ready to play. And next thing you know, there's somebody at the cup without any contest. And it was an embarrassing performance to be exposed by a team like the Rockets in this way, coming off of a 3-game win streak. Where, as fans, we're supposed to be going, oh, we're changing the tide. Things are getting better. Get a nice holiday weekend with your family. And this is the performance that we get. I'd like to think it's just a holiday weekend hangover, but unfortunately, we've seen this throughout the season. And Bulls' issue all the way back to last year has been playing down to their competition. You saw that in full effect tonight to the point where they dug themselves in a hole that I was surprised they ever dug some way out of. But after all that effort that they had to put in to get out of that initial hole, clearly there's either nothing left in the tank or I don't know. But I cannot blame the refereeing in this game.
A lot of people
for
did.
the outcome.
Yeah, a lot of people did. We got Michael in our comment section here. Isn't that on coaching then, leaving Vooch out to dry? I don't really know. I mean, you got to get a little bit of help there, but I mean, Vooch, let's be honest here. Vooch got beat one-on-one by Sengun like the whole fucking game. I mean, that was the worst beat down I've seen of Nikola Vooch. I'm not even fucking with you. That was the worst beat down since I've seen him in a Bulls uniform. He might been the scapegoat for a lot of different things. And sure, you and I both admitted he has to be better. There's been times he has not played well for sure. Absolutely. But this was the worst time. I've never seen him beat down like this before. He was beat down.
Inherently, as the third wheel, the third star on the team, you're always going to catch more criticism than the top two guys because you're third man on the
effect.
But to see somebody this new in the league take advantage of him the way it was done tonight, and to Michael's point, isn't that on coaching to make an adjustment? I don't know what adjustment you make. Andre Drummond isn't a better perimeter player, gives you a little bit better rim protection, but in terms of switchability and versatility, I can't say that he's really that much of a better option than Vooch overall. So other than going to Pat at the 5 and playing small, we did see Dalen Terry get some legitimate minutes again tonight with all the injuries, but I don't know that Billy really had an answer for what was going on. I can't put this on coaching. I can't put it on refereeing. It simply comes down to you have a team that is built for the playoffs, built to try to be a contender, that showed up against a team that is not supposed to be any of these things and expected that they were going to have a walk in the park. Other than that explanation, I really don't know what happened tonight because other than that second with the fight back, it was just lackadaisical. And you had Zach settling for shots. You had DeMar settling for shots. All around tonight was just ugly and complacent. And I really don't know how to chalk it up other than that.
The drives to the rim by Zach LaVine and looking for the foul call and not getting back on defense, I'm pointing that out right now. I can't handle it anymore. I just please get back on defense, dude. Got to say that. Vooch giving up at the end of the third quarter. I don't know if you saw that. There was a fucking turnover at the end of the third quarter. I'm sorry, not a turnover. It was a missed jump shot from Zach, and Vooch walked back, dude. Did not hustle back down the floor, just started kind of trotting his way back, and we got beat on like a 4-on-2, 4-on-3. And I'm just like watching it, and I'm like, what the? I'm like,
so is that in response to Zach's shot? Is that in response to what's
probably? But what are you playing for then? Like that's how frustrated you are? That's how frustrated.
The reports we had coming out of the locker room before our 3-game win streak, it sounded like this team was done with Zach. We can take the Zach beating on DeMar's chest at the end of that game winner as a sign that things are good. But I do feel in this locker room with Zach getting this bag, the way he's been playing, the way that he sat out to start the season, and he continues to try to reiterate that he's trying to be a leader. I do have a feeling that's rubbing people the wrong way in this locker room because anybody from an outside standpoint knows, yeah, Zach, you got the bag, but this is still DeMar's team, which is a conflict internally and externally because the front office has to decide how they're going to move on from this. You have a guy on a max contract who's making the most money on your team, but he doesn't feel like the guy. You have a guy in DeMar who is clearly your guy, has outperformed his contract. He's looking for an extension. You know, you're getting to the point where it's shit or get off the pot when it comes to DeMar because he's at the very last leg of his prime. Something as Bulls fans that we're blessed to have seen it all, given the age that we saw him come to Chicago with. But this man is playing the best basketball of his life.
Another double-double for him tonight, by the way, bud.
And you have this hierarchy problem of, well, this is my team going forward for the next 5 years. You're only here next year. I need the ball in these moments to prove my worth, but you're more proven. So for the front office and for this team, we are simply at a crossroads. We understand that our window of contention that we thought existed in that first 35 games is gone if Zoe is not coming back. And At this point, even if he comes back to get that chemistry and camaraderie going to make a push to end the season, if he does come back right before the playoffs, that's really not a pipe dream we can hold on to at this point either. So internally and externally for us as fans, we have to deal with this situation, but I can't imagine what that turmoil is like in the locker room. You have two veterans that signed on for minimums in Dragic and Drummond, expecting to get good playing time on a team that's competing and going to be in the playoffs, when at this point in time, they're looking like trade bait. They're veteran minimum deals that you're shipping out for second-round picks.
It's almost like self-sabotage, too, to a certain extent, because the way they played to start the game, the being lazy to start the game. And I'm just going to say it. They were lazy to start the game. They took them lightly, and that's a lazy mentality. That's a loser mentality. To do that after a 3-game winning streak, coming off of Christmas, having 2 days off, coming off 2 days off there, and coming back on Monday against one of the worst teams in the league, I believe the worst team in the West. I would have to look at that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And doing what they did is like, yeah, I'm not surprised, because like this is where I'm at with this. Is like, we were laughing and we were having fun the last 3 episodes, no doubt about it, because we're getting wins. But that's why I always said I was so reserved, because I'm like, man, when's it going to happen? Something's going to happen. And then they do that. I didn't think it'd be against Houston. I'll tell you that right now. No, I didn't think it'd be tonight.
I went out to the bar tonight assuming that we were going to have a easy blowout kind of victory, kind of just glossing over
because you're a fan, not a player on the team.
No, exactly. Other than Patrick Williams in that first quarter where he was doing a little bit of everything on both ends, I really don't have much positive to speak on.
I've got no positive outside of DeMar DeRozan having a double-double and doing everything that he could. I can see that he got frustrated a couple of times. I understand that calls were very odd tonight, and I do have some questionable calls in my head of what transpired. But I have to say and tell you the truth, I have questionable calls on both ends of the floor, because these refs were very odd the whole time out. I have to say that. But the Patrick Williams love through the first game.
The approach in the second half isn't on the refs.
No.
The entire outcome, the discrepancy there is way too large.
No, the blowout to start the game isn't on the refs, because Houston just came out running and gunning, and that was it. They were young legs who just, literally outgunned us. And then I'm reading about our young gun, right? Everybody's like, oh man, he's having a great game. And I'm like, I didn't look at the box score the whole game, dog. Like, I didn't look one time. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, no, I ain't going to look. It's cool. No problem. I fucking looked Goose at the end of the game because people, oh, Pat was killing. 12 points, 5 for 10, 2 for 6, 12 and 7. Thank you, Pat.
Well, I feel like those 12 points came largely in the first quarter.
Yeah, he had what do you have in the first, like 7?
At least 6.
Yeah, I'd have to go look.
He had more than half of his points in the first, and then from there, the only dude that was giving you energy in the first kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I said, we have the same fourth quarter scenario. We're down. The game's on the line, and I get it's your proven thing. And on our last show, we talked about how, hey, I get it. Game's tied. Your most proven option is DeMar in the mid post and in. He's going to get you something that's effective, or he's going to draw a foul. But to have to rely on that almost every possession of a game is getting tiring, especially when you see Zach give his all and get to the rim with minimal effort. But still content settling for mid-range shots or contested 3-point shots. And it's like, I know you can make these shots as well, but if we're having this hierarchy issue, and it is a legitimate thing, you have to look deep inside and you have to realize that you're not DeMar DeRozan. This team does not need you settling for a mid-range jumper. I don't care that it worked 2 games ago, hitting those 2 clutch shots when we needed them in the mid-range. Cool. Awesome. Found yourself some room when we needed it, but to go to that every single time instead of being consistent and going to the hole, and I guess
just switching it up a little bit, because that's his go-to, Goose. And you've said this on the show before. If it's not working, do something else. Try to be that star player that, okay, this isn't working for me, so I'm going to do this now to try to open it up because I have that in my bag. I could do this.
You are a legitimate 3-tier scorer. You're one of the toughest shot makers in the game. But to start a game, we don't need you taking tough mid-contested jump shots. It's not what this league is built around. And we see it consistently in our 3-point attempts. What was the 3-point discrepancy tonight? Did they get that many more up than us?
They got more up than us by about 9. So they shot 44 total. They hit 17 of them for 38%. We shot 13 for 35 for 37%. We shot another pretty poor night at the free throw line. I know this was our last loss. We were talking about how we've been pretty good at the free throw line all year, but we went 15 for 21 from the free throw line tonight. Zach went 2 for 5 there himself. We went 71% from the free throw line. Zach, 9 for 19 tonight, 2 for 6 from downtown, 2 for 5 from the free throw line, 22 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. No turnovers, though, for Zach LaVine.
Well, so that's good. The thing. I felt to start this game, Pat was finding Pats on those cuts and those rolls. Playmaking was looking all right. We had that possession where he went to the hole.
Pat's first 2 assists, or only 2 assists came in the first quarter to DeMar DeRozan, the one on that layup and the one on the jumper. Okay. In the first quarter. Those are the only 2 assists for Pat because it started kind of run through Pat a little bit. Not through him, but he was getting the ball at the top and he was getting DeMar off an IO screen. DeMar would come through and get the ball and work some magic there. Vooch, God, man, terrible. 4 for 13 in 30 minutes, 1 for 5 from downtown, 1 for 2 from the line, 10 points, 3 assists, 3 boards for Vooch tonight. DeRozan 31 and 10 on 11-18, shooting 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Io had a pretty bad game. He started off really rough. I'll tell you something right now before we get out of here. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, and Jabari Smith Jr. are going to be a fucking problem.
No, and unfortunately, this is the conversation we've had more times than not to conclude a game is when we go into these games, it's not even just the top stars that are supposed to beat you on a night like your Lukas or your Giannis's when you play these teams where you feel like you're behind the ball, but it's these rebuilding teams that have these hot young assets that are going to be the next wave of what is it in this league. And we don't have either. We don't have a top 10 star now. We don't have a top 10 star in the future. We don't even have a top 20. No. And that is what is very conflicting for the situation that we're in. To come off a 3-game winning streak, to be at home and drop a game to one of the worst teams in the league is not acceptable. And you got Billy at the 4th. Literally, they put the camera on, and that man is feeling his.
It looked like motherfucker was trying to hide, dog. He was just like, oh, my God. Like, I'll tell you something right now. You want to talk about a team in Houston that took a shot on a kid like Kevin Porter. Because Kevin Porter, you remember he was in Cleveland, and he was a fucking lottery pick. Goose, you remember when he was coming out?
He threw a cup of soup at Ty Lue, if I remember correctly. And
I believe that's what it was. Because at USC, he was a dog.
No, he was Kevin Porter was that dude in the draft where you had character concerns, but you were willing to spend a late first on him because the talent was always there. And the Rockets have reaped the rewards of taking the bet on him, especially with the talent like Jalen Green there. You have a lot of people saying, oh, KPJ is not a point guard. But we just saw tonight, especially if you're a Bulls fan, you've seen that 2 scorers can work with the right supporting cast. The Rockets have a lot cooking over there. And as you touched on earlier, you had Sengun, who probably had the best game of his career against somebody who's supposed to be an all-star in this league.
10 for 12 for him, Goose. 25 points, 11 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Back to Porter. He is a lottery pick. He was picked 30th, but he had lottery pick talent is what I mean. You know what I was talking about. 36 points on 14 of 22, 6 for 12 from downtown, 9 assists, 7 boards. 2 turnovers. He had 9 assists, 2 turnovers, and his usage was way up there. Way up there.
And it's players like Kevin Porter Jr. that have to have you concerned with having Zach LaVine on a max. You have young players with similar skill sets and maybe better skill sets that are still on rookie deals, cheap deals that are coming up in this league. And Zach is supposed to be our guy going forward. And we've talked about this a lot. And obviously, DeMar not having the success in the 4th tonight that we've become accustomed to see him dig us out of these holes and steal some wins for us that we really don't deserve. That's the conflict is you have a guy that's got 1 year left on his contract, is looking for an extension, and Zach's making the bag. So what is your move? Are you trading Zach? Are you staying with the proven commodity for this feeling of winning? Or what are we doing? Because the feeling of being in the middle is not helping anybody. It's destroying a fan base. It's destroying the team. internally as well. So it's not even just us as fans that are feeling this. The team is. Dragic and Drummond came here expecting to be a playoff team. Our schedule has gotten easier. Our performance has not gotten better. So for these guys, that's got to be a tough spot. And then for the front office, who do you ride? Do you give DeMar an extension this late into his 30s? I don't, and that's tough for me to say because DeMar's well outplayed his contract. We owe that man some more money. That ain't in question. But what he signed up for, I don't know that we can offer him more because I don't want to extend Vooch either. So
it's going to be the question that remains in our faces all season long. We're going to continue talking about this no matter what kind of win streaks they put on. They're going to they're going to give you a couple clunkers like this, and they're going to fall out, and they're not a playoff team. And this is where you're at now, because this comes down to the point where we need to stop talking about if we start getting back into it. Well, if we start, stringing some win togethers. No, it's when do we sell? And we're going to continue talking about that. It's just going to happen. We've talked about it so much already. It's just going to continue happening until the fucking day finally comes. I don't really have much more on this game. I do want to talk to you about next game. It's the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm sorry about your pickle juice thing that didn't happen because that would have been a great story. But I have to tell you something interesting about these Milwaukee Bucks that we're going to be playing at the United Center Wednesday night. They're on a fucking 3-game losing streak.
Oh, so we're in trouble in River City.
Oh, I am. If we thought tonight was a beatdown, after that Celtics beatdown on Christmas Day that Milwaukee just had, and then the loss to the Nets, what was that, Friday night? Oh my God, it's going to be rough. I think we're going to have a very, very bad time on Wednesday night.
I think the only advantage we have there is we're not going to come into the game expecting it to be the Rockets at home. You are going into it expecting a contender, and we have seen from the beginning of last year, this team has unfortunately played to the level of their competition regardless of the matchup.
That's true.
So maybe we get the team that gets us excited and makes us feel like they can actually do something against the Bucks. But after a performance like tonight, expecting that is not something that I'm really counting on.
Yeah, I'm not confident either, man. I'm terrified to play them.
No, I mean, we had to force the "we're back" statement on the last show.
Yeah, right.
Simply because we put the goal out there to win 3 in a row against 3 good teams, somewhat in our tier there. After that happened, we were feeling good. But after a game like tonight, it's humbling to say the least.
You land back down on earth real fucking quick.
Yeah,
you really do, man. You really do. You got anything else, man, before I lead us on out of here? Because I know you're out and you look cold as shit, and my face is red because I'm irritated. I'm literally probably just gonna go lay down. I'm gonna go lie down.
No, it's as simple for me as nut up or shut up. If you think you're a team and you want to be a contender, show us against the Bucks. Let us know as a fan base that we're not invested into this team as deeply as we are for no reason. Because despite our play-in late round kind of expectations, we expected to be playing extra games. And
at least 1 or 2.
At least one. And it's not feeling like that right now. And we need to get back to that feeling because as a fan, to not have that feeling with this current roster is worse than anything. You invested so deeply into this, and to look at the assets that we gave up to acquire DeMar and Vooch in trades and sign-in trades really hurts because you look at Pat and you go, oh, wait, we had all these extra firsts? You mean we couldn't have got LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards? We couldn't have traded up from 4 with these assets instead to secure that top 10, top 20 type prospect that at least gives you comfort moving forward for games like this. When you lose that, there's a silver lining. For this team, after a loss like tonight, there is no silver lining. It is literally just a lining of shit.
That was really depressing.
It is.
It was really depressing to end this one. Woo, that hurt me a little bit. I got nothing. I got nothing. I'm silent. You hit the nail on the head with some real hard truth, and that sucks. So with that being said, everybody have a great night. Thank you for joining us, whether we win or lose. We're going to let Goose go inside so he doesn't freeze out there, for the love of God.
Oh, we're good. The truck's warm at this point. Don't let the breath fool you.
Okay, that's good. That's good at least. Everybody be sure to go to ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Go to Twitter, follow us there at Bulls on Tap, at On Tap Sportsnet, Goose at Bulls Scripted, and me at Buzz on Tap. 5-star rating and review anywhere you can listen to podcasts because you can listen to us. Go to YouTube, subscribe. We'll be back Wednesday night after the Bulls take on the Milwaukee Bucks, and God willing, not a severe beatdown. Let's go Bulls.